Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant, and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. We welcome all of you for the online satsang of the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. So we are going to resume our study circle on Sutra Vahini, and we are going to start on Sutra 5. Because 2 weeks we took a break with listening to the nice satsang, Swami's Bhagavatam, divine stories, divine leelas, which showed the omniscience of Swami, omnipresence, and omnifelicity or blessings of Swami. So it was really one story, it touched me very much. I know we all heard how Swami gave liberation to Sai Gita elephant, and I shared one with the deer in Vrindavan. But this I heard about a tree, a pomegranate tree, which was waiting for God and Swami, how he gave liberation. That was very touching. So that shows two things, that you can't underestimate. Sometimes they may advance much faster than us if they are ready, if they have that desire to be with God. It not only is restricted to humans, but even animals and the plants can be liberated. And we know the story of Jatayu in Ramayana, how the bird was liberated with the blessings of Lord Rama. So anyway, now we're coming back to our Sutra Vahini. So we are, I think you have the people who have the book version. As I said, always the pages vary, starting from 39 to 29 to 27, right? Anupam, what page do we have? So
I have 55.
55, I have 39, and in the PDF file it is 29, right? So like each one is different. So just go back to, if you don't have the book, so please, but that easy is to go to the Sutra 5, Brahma Sutra 5. So we finished 4, we are starting 5th. So these are all, theme is continuous. So I want you to go back and reflect on all the 4 sutras we finished, which talk about the qualifications for Brahma Vidya and how the everything is contained in the Upanishads and the scriptures come from Brahman. So all that we discussed, I don't want to again go back to that. Unless you have any questions or comments, please share. So now we are going to start on Sutra 5. This is actually, some of you may have difficulty, but people who are interested in Sanskrit, I can tell, that is called Ichater na Ashabdham. That is Sanskrit, Ichate, that means what you see, it is not Ashabdham, that means what is not contained in Upanishads. That is what it is called. So, but the way they put it, sometimes you may have difficulty, which is that consciousness, that Brahman is the primal cause of the cosmos. Please go ahead and start, Anupam.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Sai Ram, brothers and sisters. Now we are on chapter 5, the 5th sutra. Consciousness, not matter, is the primal cause of the cosmos. Ishater na sabdam. The Vedas assert that Brahman is the primal cause of the cosmos, Jagat. They do not posit any non-conscious, achetana entity as the cause. The voice of God, the Veda, does not support the view of the non-conscious as being the origin of creation. On the other hand, the being Sat is asserted to have resolved upon becoming, to have entertained a decision, sankalpa. Resolution, decision, design, these are acts of consciousness. Non-conscious entities are incapable of such exercises of will. Brahman, which is all conscious, has therefore to be accepted as the primal cause. Next section. The Vedas declare creation to be the result of God's will. The non-conscious is called the source of primordial matter, pradhana. The Vedas do not speak about it. This is what this aphorism reveals very clearly. Primordial matter is the designation by which the quote, name, form, flux, unquote, namely, the cosmos, Jagat, is denoted by some schools of thought. Other schools refer to it as, quote, atom composed, unquote, or, quote, the made, prakriti, unquote. Others say, in terms of praise, quote, you are the omni-will, the absolute self, the highest Atma, Paramatma. Because of you, all this diversity is protected, unquote. Others argue that the three qualities, gunas, are the fundamental constituents that, through the preponderance of one or the other, cause diversity in nature. These views are not supported by the Vedic authority. The Vedas maintain that Brahman willed and creation emerged. That will is the prologue, the preliminary act. The Sankhya school posits the insentient source of primordial matter, pradhana, and bases creation on the three qualities, the gunas of nature, serenity, activity, passivity, sattva, rajas, tamas. When these qualities are well balanced and in equipoise, no conscious decision can arise, the Sankhyan said. That state has to receive the impact of a Supreme Lord, Purusha, who is the witness and who is awareness or consciousness. In other words, the impact of God's will. That makes primordial matter knowing and knowable. Next section. Cosmos, the body assumed by God. Considering each of these theories, the most correct conclusion is that Brahman is the prime cause. Of course, the highest accessible truth is not the attributeless, qualityless, intangible, inexplicable Brahman. It is the Brahman cognizable through the qualities, Saguna Brahman, that it has imposed on itself. It has assumed this cosmos, which is composed of consciousness and non-consciousness, as its body. Individuals have to be endowed with consciousness, Chaitanya, so that they can either commit or omit, do or desist from actions that they feel should be carried out. What has to be done today or put off till tomorrow? Which crops are to be grown in the coming year? Such thoughts, plans, and projects arise only in the field of consciousness and not in the non-conscious stone and wood, hill and dale. Willing is the sign of consciousness. That which does not have it cannot will at all. When the will emerged, Brahman became God, Ishvara, and by that will alone God created the cosmos. From the superficial sthula view, God and cosmos strike one as distinct. But examination with subtle sukshma insight finds no fundamental distinction between the material, padartha, and the maker, paramartha, the living unit, prani, and the life principle, prana. The life principle assumes a body on itself and appears as the living unit, and the life force emerges from the living unit. Should we stop here?
Yeah.
So Swami is explaining some very complex metaphysical theories here, which are very hard to follow. But the one thing I find very clear in Swami's writing is that Brahman is the cause and everything is Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. That is the basis of it. There are many schools of thought that try to postulate different theories and try to prove them. But God is beyond proof. He has to be experienced, consciousness. And so in the Satchit Ananda principle, Chit is the one consciousness that is responsible for this. And Sat is the being that preceded Chit. That is why Sat comes first and Chit comes after. And the result is Ananda. So Swami is stating clearly, I think, that Brahman is the cause and everything is Brahman, nothing else. Sairam.
Yeah, here, this fifth principle, as I said, Ichyate na ashabdam, that is Sanskrit. But main thing is emphasizing that what all you are seeing, Ichyate na ashabdam. Ashabdam is the Upanishads. What is not there, it is not what happens. That means everything is Brahman. So we need to have a clear concept. If we really go into these metaphysical things, like these are the theories, like Sankhya theory, where this is called the Prakriti, Pradhana. Pradhana means the whole Mula Prakriti. They are like almost like materialists. The way it was there, some even schools of thinking like Jains, they don't believe like a creator. So how can there be creation without a creator? So they think it is a Prakriti just manifested itself. And then there's another Kanada school of thought, atomic. Let us not go into that, because as Lord Buddha said, what is the purpose? To be peaceful and happy. If you get lost into these philosophical arguments, you will never realize the truth. That is for people who are intellectual and who want to pursue that as a role to play. But for a practical person, so what is this? What is the truth and how to realize? That is why Sri Ramakrishna beautifully said, so the philosophers are like the eagles soaring high in the sky, but their eyes are in the filth and the down, because their mind, they may be talking philosophy, but they don't practice. But the saints, they may not be scholarly. Like you see, all this Sri Ramakrishna never went to college, Swami never went to college, Adbhutananda never even know how to read and write. So there are great saints who never went, but they lived their life. And actually what they said became the scriptures. They are like Hamsas, that is Paramahamsa, that is why Sri Ramakrishna. That means they know what is real and what is unreal. The real Paramahamsa is supposed to differentiate the real from the unreal, milk and the water. So they are the one who live the life. And all of them, they didn't go into this philosophy. He says, if you want to, this is philosophers like somebody, you want to kill somebody, you need to have a big knife or rifle, this and that. But to kill yourself, even a little needle you can do with just going. Similarly, practicing the philosophy, that is more important. So summarizing, the best thing is Adi Shankara, the great teacher of the centuries ago. So he was the one who propounded that everything is only one thing exists. And Swami said that is the highest jnanam. Shri Baba said the same thing. Everybody. What is that? Advaita darshanam jnanam. There is only one thing exists. And Adi Shankara said, Slokarthena pravachyami yadartham grandha kotibhi. He said, in a one sentence, in one half a shloka, I will summarize the summary of all these scriptures. Grandha kotibhi. That means 1 crore scriptures I will summarize in one sentence. That is the final truth. All these are philosophy to explain that. But the basic truth is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaina Paraha. Only truth, Brahman alone is truth. The only thing that we can constantly remember. Brahman alone is truth. Jagan Mithya, this whole world, he didn't say it is unreal. It is Mithya. Mithya is a different word to translate in English. It looks real, but it is unreal. Real/unreal. It looks real, like you see mirage, it's there, the mirage, but it's not really, there is no water there. So similarly, sun appears to be rising and sun sets, but it never rises, sun never sets. So these are called apparent reality. They look real, but they are not real. They are called beautifully in Sanskrit mithya. So the only truth is Brahman. Everything else is mithya. And then last is the most profound. Jivo Brahmaina Para. The embodied being is nothing but God, Brahman. So always we say, God, the what in heaven, we are saying everything is Brahman, that is the only truth, all else is illusory, and we are nothing but God. That is why Swami beautifully gave these few formulas. First, God is, 5-letter mantra, G-O-D-I-S, Dev do not. Then he says, assert, I am God, I am not God, I am nothing but different from God. So those are, he summarized in a beautiful, simple language. First, accept that God is, then try to realize that we are God. That is the summary of this whole thing. Because otherwise, philosophy and all the Upanishads and Baba, Shirdi Baba, Sri Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, all the great masters who really studied and experienced declare the same truth. Like a scientist, different places, whether they are in Los Angeles, whether they are in Milan or in St. Petersburg, anywhere, the science is science. So they all find and come to the same truth. The law of gravity says, throw something up, it will come down anywhere, wherever, which part of the world. So that won't change. Similarly, all these laws of these scriptural laws, they are the same. All of them came to the conclusion that Brahman is the cause. So all the three things which we see, but we all experience every day three things. What do we experience? We experience ourselves, we see our bodies, and then we see this whole nature, the trees, plants, mountains, rivers, that is the world, prapancha, and then we think this is creator, which is God. So we think these are all separate. God is there, He created the world, and then we are part of those beings. But the ultimate truth is, as Swami is telling, everything came from Brahman, and everything is sustained in Brahman. Everything dissolves in Brahman. Everything is nothing but Brahman. Even we think we are separate, we are not. That is the ultimate truth we need to realize. The best example is like ocean. In the ocean, you see the whole thing is water, right? But sometimes what happens, big waves come. Is it not water? It's a part of the ocean. But the time it shows, it has a name, it has a form. It has a form, some small waves, some big waves. Then there may be some foam in the waves, or there may be bubbles. All of them are nothing but water. Finally, they all go back to the water. Sometimes in the same thing in the ocean, we see icebergs, huge iceberg, particularly who went in various ocean cruises. You can see huge iceberg. They're nothing but solidified water. And again, with heat, they will go back to the ocean. They're not separate. They're all water in different forms, either waves or in the foam or in the water or in the iceberg. Similarly, as beautifully said, Sri Ramakrishna again coming, says these avatars like icebergs. Because of the whole devotion of people, this Satchidananda Brahman solidifies, comes as Saguna Sakara, as an avatar. And again, it goes back into the attributeless, formless. So there are two things. One is everything is Brahman. We all need to convince this is a very important truths, like this is scientific formula. Everything is Brahman. There are three aspects: the creation, the world, the embodied being, and Brahman. They're all three is nothing but the same. There is a Vishnu Sahasranam says, Vishwam, Vishnu, Vashatkaro. This Vishwam means what all you are seeing, the universe. Vishnu means the Lord, and Vashatkaro, the activity which goes on, all is nothing but Brahman. That is the realization you need to experience, that everything is nothing but Brahman. But this apparent reality looks like they are separate, but you need to go on reminding. And once you experience that everything is Brahman, That is the ultimate purpose of all the sadhana. As long as we think these three are separate, that means we are in ignorance. That is why I would recommend also a very practical story in Siddhi Sacharita. It is given, it gives two lessons. There was a very rich man, go back to that, we discussed this few times. He goes in search of Brahma Vidya. Like all of us, we are all in search of Brahma Vidya. That is why we are in the study circle. So he says, he was very impressed. Shri Baba said, everybody comes, I want some nice job. Somebody says, I want a nice wife, or somebody wants a nice husband, or promotion in the job, wealth, or cure of the illness, something. Everybody, we all go to the Swami also, many of us went like that. But very few people come to know the truth, Atma Vidya, Brahma Vidya. I am very happy you came. But he wanted to show, but he was not prepared for it. That is why we said the first Brahma Sutra is Athato Brahma Jijnasa. You need the qualification. We may have a desire. If you are not qualified, any number of books we do, anything, nothing. So we need to go back to the fundamental, and he teaches him. Because this guy, Baba wanted 5 rupees. He didn't give that 5 rupees. He had 250 rupees in his pocket. That means 50 times 5. He says you have 50 times 5 Brahman in your pocket, and when you can't sacrifice little money, how can you get Brahman? For Brahman to have knowledge of Brahman, first important thing is to have that dispassion, detachment, and discrimination. That's basic. Then we talked about hunger, the mumukshatvam, intense hunger. I want to know the truth. So that is the third qualification, and all the other shat sampatti, all the 6 noble qualities we should develop: shama, dhamma, viparati, titiksha, and shraddha, and samadhana. So I don't want to go into that. That is why we are not experiencing the knowledge of Brahman is because of that. So that is why it is important. We need to do that. The best thing is, a lot of people chant Rudram, and also people know Bhagavad Gita. The interesting thing is, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, among the mountains, I am Himalaya. It is huge. So among the Pandavas, I am Dhananjaya, because Arjuna is the one powerful. So among yajnas, I am Japa Yajna. That means people do various yajnas. Lord Krishna himself said, I am the Japa Yajna. That means repeating the name. That is what is. Like that he goes on. Among the Devarshis, I am Narada. He identifies all the best things in the world as him. That is called Vibhuti. But Rudram is wonderful that it doesn't discriminate. Rudram says, everything is Rudram. Whether it is Ganges water or whether it is Suez water. It's Rudra. So whether it is a big mountain or a small little stone or a hillock, it is also Rudram. It is also Lord Shiva. So whether it is a huge forest or a little plant, it is all Rudram. It is a huge ocean or a little pond, it is all Rudram. So everything is permeated by the Shiva consciousness, auspiciousness. That is the realization. That is the beautiful. That is why that all is Brahman that is emphasized in that thing. Saira.